What's up, everyone? Mark here. Welcome to Prepared Pantry Presents. Today, I want to talk a little bit about beans and some history that I think is kind of interesting. So, baked beans, as we know them today, at least in America, the ubiquitous Boston baked bean, really originated with Native Americans. So, the natives cooked native beans, flavored and spiced them with what they had. They used maple syrup to flavor and sweeten them, and baked them in a similar way to how Boston baked beans are prepared today. When the colonists arrived, they decided to sub out the maple syrup for molasses. Now, molasses was pretty plentiful in the colonies. If you're familiar with the triangle trade, a rather shameful part of our history, the colonists in New England were trading rum that they distilled for slaves. They were trading the slaves for molasses, and they were using the molasses to make the rum and completing that cycle over and over again. So molasses was pretty plentiful in the colonies, and it was used very commonly as a sweetener. Sugar was taxed by the royal crown, and as a way to get around that, they used what they had. They had molasses. So baked beans with molasses and cooked with salt pork became Boston baked beans, nickname for Boston, Beantown. Very popular in the United States. Today, even, we think of it around cookouts and hot dogs and hamburgers and barbecue. It's a molasses-heavy, barbecue-tasting sauce, baked beans. So for us, that's what we consider baked beans. But what's interesting to me, at least, is H.J. Heinz, an American company, iconic American company, in fact, that we consider synonymous with their tomato ketchup, actually was a pioneer in canning baked beans in the early 20th century. And so much so that they became popular internationally, and more so, for some reason, in England and in the UK, where they are a staple food today. Virtually unknown in the United States. Nobody here eats Heinz or knows about even really Heinz baked beans. We just know about ketchup and a number of other Heinz products. But these are wildly popular. In fact, Heinz operates one of the largest, if not the largest, food production facilities in the world in Germany to produce these beans for the European market. They're also produced in other places in the UK, but in Germany specifically is the largest factory. So the English or the UK version of baked beans is actually no molasses, no salt pork. It's actually a vegetarian product, and it has a tomato-based sauce instead. Where we consider baked beans to be more of a barbecue and a savory dinner type accompaniment. In England, they are served as part of a traditional English full breakfast, usually on toast or with eggs on toast. And again, it's a completely different sauce. It's almost a completely different product. Still cooked baked beans, but flavored almost entirely differently. Now, before we get underway with the tasting, I do want to mention that these are imported Heinz beans from England. They are packaged, or not packaged, labeled specifically for the American market. It's packaged for sale in the United Kingdom, but they label cans specifically for the United States so that it's got U.S. compliant nutrition facts and that kind of stuff. I believe if we actually had UK labeled cans, they would be beans with a Z. I think that's how they stylize it now. So again, this is packed for the European market, but labeled specifically to be sold in the United States. All right, let's give them a taste. All right, we've got beans. Now, I have had Boston baked beans any number of times in my life. I think I want to try this first, but I'm kind of curious about the sauce. I'm going to see how that tastes. It's interesting. It is very tomatoey, but it's still got that. It's still got that sweetness that I associate with Boston baked beans. My comparison, the Boston baked bean sauce. Oh, that actually is a lot sweeter. That molasses makes it a lot sweeter. You know, I actually kind of like this sauce. It's almost like tomato soup mixed with a little bit of the sweetness from the molasses, but not as heavy a dark molassesy or brown sugary taste. There's definitely some sweetness there, though. And right off the bat, you see the color of the beans is completely different. The white beans, as far as I know, the way that Heinz produces their beans even today is they're cooked in the sauce in the can. So it doesn't really absorb a whole lot of the sauce. But actually over on this side, the beans are much darker. B&M, I know, still cooks their beans in brick ovens, in open pots for hours and hours. So really you get a lot more of that flavor and the color imparted into the beans themselves. So having tried the sauce, let's try the beans. It's good. Very mild. Not a whole lot of flavor in the bean itself. I do like that sauce though, and I can see why this is suited to something like breakfast. This would be great on toast or with scrambled eggs. By comparison, the Boston Baked Beans, again, decidedly not a vegetarian dish. It's cooked with salt pork. I don't know that it's in here, but I think the larger cans, at least, when I was growing up at least, they would include a cube of the salt pork that it was cooked with in every can. Of course, you'd fish it out, but some people like to eat that. It's a little gross. Of course, that's a taste I'm familiar with. Good old Boston Baked Beans. So by comparison, I don't know how well that would pair with scrambled eggs or toast. Maybe with pulled pork over a biscuit. Just a lot sweeter than the English beans. Even when you get a spoonful of the sauce, it's just not overpoweringly sweet. Boston Baked Beans, on the other hand, when you get a spoonful that's really sauce heavy, you know it. Both very good though, in their own way. So then I guess the ultimate question of which is better is kind of hard to answer. I guess if I'm forced to go with one, the Boston Baked Beans are going to win every time for me. And you know what? If I were born and raised in the UK, then maybe these would win. Certainly they're delicious, and I would be open to having them again at breakfast or any other time. They are good. They're just not what I would normally consider a baked bean. And again, in fact, they're not actually baked. They're essentially steam cooked in the can with the sauce. And I think that's something that it's lacking. You know, there's a depth of flavor that you get in the Boston Baked Beans that you just can't achieve that by cooking it with the sauce in the can. I don't know, guys. I think that's it. I think Boston Baked Beans win. You know what? I hope you enjoyed this video. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe. Click the red button down below. When you do, make sure you hit the bell icon so you get a notification every time I have a new video out. And we will see you in the next one.